Today we're going to talk about the number one factor that's actually driving this bull market. Now, a lot of people get this wrong, and this is a bull market that's been going on for a very long time, and it's been very strong, and it's been confusing a lot of people. And they get it wrong. There's a lot of bears on the sideline because they don't understand what's going on. They're looking at things like valuations and saying, oh, they're out of control, this market can't go any higher. Or they're looking at all the geopolitical turmoil along with Trump and his tweets and thinking, how can this market keep going? But really, none of those things are influencing this market as much as this one factor. This is the one thing you need to pay attention to. And that one thing that I'm talking about is the global shortage of safe assets. Now, I'm going to explain what that means in this video. And this is actually pretty advanced stuff. It's coming straight from Macro Ops, which is geared towards more institutional people. So if you have any questions, just put them down below in the comments. I'm going to try and make this really simple though. And before we get started, make sure you sign up for our free FOMO trading guide. It's going to teach you a bunch of tips and tricks on how to control your emotions. There's a link down below in the description and comments. Definitely check that out. It's free. But okay, the global shortage of safe assets. Like I said, this is coming from Macro Ops. This is Alex's latest report. So the first thing you got to understand is the simple economic concept of supply and demand. And I think we all pretty much understand that at this point, right? If there's a low supply of an item and there's a high demand for it, then the price of that item is going to go up. If there's a high supply of an item and low demand, the price of that item is going to go down, right? Simple supply and demand. And people try to make the stock market way more complicated than that, but it's not. If you get to the core concept of what's happening in every transaction, it's supply and demand. It's not fundamentals, it's not geopolitics, it's what people want to pay for an asset and how much of that asset is there. And that's why you could see weird things where companies that make no money have super high share prices. Because if everyone wants it, everyone wants it. Same reason why everyone wanted Pokemon cards and why they became worth something. Supply and demand. So what we're experiencing in the market now is a supply squeeze. And that's what we mean by asset shortage. There's not enough supply. Now, this asset shortage actually splits up into two different areas. First, we're talking about safe assets like developed market government bonds, so like US treasuries. And then the other place where we're seeing the shortage is in other financial assets like equity and credit. So in this video, we're just going to talk about the first part, the safe assets. Alex is going to write a part 2, which I'll likely cover in another video. So make sure you subscribe if you want to see that. So like Alex says here, supply and demand are, after all, what drives the market over the long term. And a safe asset shortage just means that there's more demand for safe assets like government bonds than there is a supply of them. So here's why this is happening, because what we're seeing right now is capital flowing from less well-off countries or developing countries into richer ones or developed countries. And the US is actually where most of this money is going. So why is all this money flowing from poorer countries into richer ones? Well, those poorer countries are starting to develop really fast. But what happens is that they grow faster than they can actually financially deepen. And by financially deepen, it means their ability to absorb all the growing wealth and money. So their financial systems don't grow with how fast their GDP grows. Like the economy is taking off, but the financial aspect of that, like the banks, insurance, all these different things, aren't growing as fast. So there's not as many investment opportunities. And for savers, where do they put their money? You need the banking system to grow with the economy. So as developing markets increase in size, their financial markets lag behind. Their financial assets actually grow at half the rate of their GDP. You can see right here, the GDP is shooting higher, but look at their assets. They're barely moving because it just takes longer. So if that's the case, if there's no domestic pool of securities, then all these people that are coming into money in these developed countries, they got to put their money somewhere, right? And that's why they invest the majority of their wealth abroad. So here, Alex explains it one more time. As emerging markets mature, their ability to generate credit and grow their money stock rises exponentially. So they got a lot of money floating around. But since the emerging market financial markets can't soak up this ballooning money stock, meaning again, they don't have a developed enough banking system, their stock market isn't quite there yet, well, that means that an increasing amount of that money has to flow to the US, which is the #1 developed market. And the US has the deepest financial markets in the world. So that raises the demand for US assets. So there we go. We got one side of the equation right there, right? Demand is really big because it's not just US people trying to buy our stocks and bonds. It's all these people in foreign countries too, because growth has been good. There's a lot of countries that are really coming up now. So one example is Taiwan, which is very small, but the country now has the second largest financial system in the world relative to gross domestic product. So for their size, they have the biggest financial system, but their local economy is not big enough to accommodate all the money that they made as a country. So all these Taiwanese financial institutions have funneled a whopping 1.2 trillion abroad. And most of that money has gone mostly into US government and corporate bonds with high credit ratings. So apparently Taiwanese insurers now hold over 14% of US corporate debt. And that's insane, 14% for such a small country. But again, they have nowhere to put it it, and that's why you can see there's so much demand coming from outside the US. So here's a quote from the CIO of BlackRock. He said, "Due to the demographic revolution in pension, insurance, and central bank assets, there is roughly 3 times as much capital that needs to be invested today as was the case in the early 2000s. So capital is growing and growing. So again, that's the demand side of the equation, right? Tons and tons of demand. But now let's look at the supply side. And now the supply side would be US treasuries, US stocks, right? So in the US, we keep increasing our budget deficit, which no one loves, but some people really, really hate. And what that means when you're increasing your budget deficit is that you're issuing more treasury bonds. Because every time we issue a bond, someone buys that bond and then we get that money. And that's why Taiwan owns 14% of us. So we've continued to issue those bonds at a rapid pace, which has helped meet some of this increased demand, but it's not enough. He's saying that there's a dramatic supply-demand imbalance for yielding assets, which is likely to persist for many years. So here's some more numbers to understand it. The supply of safe government debt in developing countries like the US, but not just the US, like including Europe and other places, that'll grow by 1.7 trillion annually over the coming 5 years. So huge growth. But the demand for these assets is estimated to grow even more rapidly, creating a $400 billion annual shortfall. So even though we're growing our supply of these treasuries and safe assets at a rapid pace, demand is way outstripping that. And as you can see, that's where you're going to get the imbalance. So he said that the shortfall indicates that government bond yields are set to remain low. Now, as you know, in our economy, we have super low interest rates right now, and all around the world, there's low interest rates. Now, partially that's because of our central banks. They set them. But another factor is also just, again, supply and demand. So just a reminder of how fixed income works. If the price of a bond is higher, its interest rate is going to be lower. And then vice versa. If the price is lower, its interest rate will be higher. So if you have all these people coming in and bidding up the price of these treasuries because there's not enough for everybody, so their price shoots up, well, their interest rate is going to stay low. And that influences what our interest rates are in the economy. And that can get pretty complicated, but that's the basic gist of it. And another thing to consider is that because of regulations and asset matching needs from insurers and banks, these big buyers of safe assets are mostly price insensitive. They have to buy US treasuries and other DM government debt, and DM is just developed market. So the way a normal market works is if the price of something gets too high, then there's going to be less buyers, right? And then it self-corrects. But in this case, all these foreign institutions, like the Taiwanese one that we were just talking about, they're price insensitive, which means it doesn't matter to them how expensive those bonds are because they have rules and regulations for their bank that they're only allowed to buy these securities. So if you have a big pile of money and you can only buy one thing, it doesn't matter how much that thing costs because there's no other option. It's in their bylaws that they have to buy those treasuries because those are safe and that's what's agreed upon with the investors, and that gets complicated too. But that creates a steady flow of demand regardless of what the price is doing, which means price will keep getting pushed higher and higher. So okay, the main point to remember here again is that if these prices are higher, yields are going to be lower, right? Interest rates. And what does low interest rates mean? Well, low yields are good for risk assets in the economy in general, and risk assets are like stocks. They help ease financial conditions and keep the gears of the economy and financial markets well oiled. And this goes back to what we talk about in a lot of these videos, which is liquidity. Low interest rates means easy money, which means a lot of liquidity. And when there's a lot of liquidity, that means there's a lot of money floating around in the market. And what does that money have to do? It ends up buying assets. So our stock market, how it keeps going up and up, well, it's easy to do when there's low interest rates and money is so cheap. And here's another concept to understand. Stocks and bonds compete for capital. And we've talked about this before. So if bonds have a higher yield, meaning they're lower priced, like we discussed, well, they're going to attract money, and that money is going to come from the stock market. So people are going to sell off their stocks and buy bonds because bonds look like the better return. So for example, if a bond is yielding 14%, and this is just an example, this doesn't happen for a long time, and the stock market was just giving you 5% a year, then where are you going to put your money? You're going to put it into bonds. So if you take your money out of stocks, what's going to happen to stocks? They're going to sell off, right? And then you start putting them into bonds, well, bond prices start getting higher, and that causes yields to fall again. So the interest rate falls again because the price is getting higher. So instead of 14, it drops to 10 and then 8 and then 6 because people keep flooding in and buying it all. And eventually what happens? If the bonds are only giving you 5% and all these people are out of the stock market, so now it's giving like 15%, then the thing is going to happen in reverse again. So people are going to sell off all their bonds and buy stocks until the returns once again go like this. So this is a back and forth process that happens over and over again. It's how money flows between stocks and bonds. But because there's a global shortage in these safe assets, which are the bonds, this is kind of screwing up that back and forth process. It's keeping yields on the safe assets super low. They can't rise because there's this constant demand from these developing markets. And remember, they have no other option than to buy just these assets. So it's not like a fully free market. The price discovery isn't really happening right now. They're just buying. So with interest rates and yields being so low, that makes risk assets like stocks way more attractive. So that's what I was saying before. Fundamentals don't actually matter. Who cares if they're overvalued? Because you got to look at these stocks relative to bonds. So the very smart Mark Dow, he had a tweet that Alex posted at the top. He said, "What I really can't wait for in 2020 is when people realize that the asset shortage means the valuation metrics everyone has been harping on for the last 10 years about are totally and utterly irrelevant. It's really about supply and demand, not company fundamentals." So you can do all the valuation you want, but if you're missing this bigger picture of what's happening on the global macro scale, then you're not going to understand what's going on. So to sum up what's happening one more time, there's a lot of foreign demand, a lot of foreign money flooding into the US. And there aren't enough of these safe assets in the US to satisfy all that demand. So the price of these safe assets, which are bonds, are going up, and their yields or interest rates are staying low. And that in turn is making the stock market look way more attractive, which is why we keep getting this bull market that just keeps going and going. So there's a part 2 to this. So if you want to see that when we get that report, then make sure you subscribe to this channel. And if you haven't already, go to the link down below in the description and comments and get this FOMO guide. Because even if you understand all this stuff about what's going on, if you can't control yourself, then you're not going to win anyway. So go here, click this link, put in your email and name so I know where to send this free guide to you. It's pretty good and it's free anyway, so you're not really losing anything by checking it out. You can only gain, just like this stock market. And like I said, make sure you subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell so you get an email notification when our next video comes out. I'll see you in the next one. Stay fallible out there. Bye.